Dr. Peck is host of the Dr. Nurse Mama Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Central, and find her podcast at afr.net. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. The lawless agitators in Minneapolis have gone too far. Yesterday, a mob attacked a church and disrupted a worship service. White House senior advisor Alina Habba says Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and all those paid agitators are about to find out about the FACE Act.
That's everybody. That's everybody. The FACE Act is a long-standing federal statute that prohibits force, threats, obstruction, any kind of interference with a religious place of worship. And it carries criminal penalties and violations. And what the Attorney General is saying is the truth. She will come down hard. The Department of Justice will come down hard. Our Civil Rights Division will come down hard on anybody who tries to impede or intimidate somebody in a place of worship, or a police officer or an ICE officer. It's just not going to happen in this administration, and Pam is making that very clear.
ICE operations continue in Minneapolis, where tensions are growing between federal agents and the protesters. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says those operations will continue to fulfill President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration, despite this pushback.
We literally have arrested and detained thousands of illegal criminals in Minnesota since President Trump came back into the White House. And I've never met a family that ever said, oh, I wish you would have left that rapist free. I wish you would have left that murderer on the streets. We wouldn't be in this situation if Joe Biden hadn't allowed our open border policies to be in place and allowed up to 20 million people unvetted into this country. We have no idea how many dangerous people are here.
The Trump administration is planning to cut significant federal funding to sanctuary cities and states that are refusing to cooperate with his immigration crackdown. Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson says his city isn't a sanctuary city.
We support law enforcement here in Dallas. We support law and order. It's something I think is very important. I don't think you can have a city if you don't have safety. And so I don't understand the impulse that some of these Democrat mayors have to embrace lawlessness, frankly.
President Trump is not backing down on his intention to take over Greenland for security reasons. Former NSD Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray, tells us what happens next.
I think our European friends really need to step back from this performative domestic politics that they're engaged in and realize that this is about a core interest of the United States. Greenland's a part of the Western Hemisphere. It's been under threat by Chinese and Russian aggressive activity over the last, as the president said, several decades. Our friends in Denmark haven't done anything about it. And the president was actually on the path last week with this meeting that Vice President Vance chaired to have a really successful path forward where we were talking directly to our Greenlandic friends and our Danish allies about a path forward for the United States to have more ultimate control over Greenland.
It's just the tip of the iceberg. That's what a taxpayer watchdog thinks about allegations of Medicare fraud in Western states. Chris Woodward has more.
Kaiser Permanente affiliates will pay $556 million to settle a lawsuit that alleged the healthcare giant committed Medicare fraud and pressured doctors to list incorrect diagnoses on medical records to receive higher reimbursements. The settlement followed a 4-year investigation by the Department of Justice. Ross Marchand, Executive Director of Taxpayers Protection Alliance.
The government, in this case, has long claimed that the $100 billion company made Medicare Advantage members' diagnoses worse than they actually were to get more money from taxpayers. But this fraud scandal is just the tip of the iceberg, and certainly not just limited to Medicare Advantage.
Pointing to information from the Government Accountability Office, Marchand said there is a combined $100 billion in improper payments made by the taxpayer-funded Medicare and Medicaid programs per year.
That's more than $600 annually for each and every Medicare and Medicaid patient. This is completely unacceptable.
I'm Chris Woodward.
More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, the tours we've got planned in 2026 are going to be fantastic. They're historical, spiritual heritage tours. For the information all about them, the DC, the Williamsburg, the Boston tours, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we hope to see you on one of our 2026 spiritual heritage tours.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Monday, January the 19th, 2026. We thank you for listening to AFR. And in studio with me today is Ed Vitagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Fred Jackson.
Good morning, Tim.
You two gentlemen have a good weekend, did you?
Had a wonderful week.
Had a very good weekend.
Yeah. Well,
how about you?
I did too.
Yeah?
Had a good weekend. It's cold. Here I go again.
And about to get colder.
And about to get colder. So outdoor activities are limited.
Yeah.
Unless you like being outdoors in the cold weather.
Which you do not.
I do not, and that's well documented.
Yes, it is well documented.
Right
here on this program,
I whine and complain frequently about cold weather and look forward to...
Well, if you can't change the weather, you might as well complain about it. There's nothing else
By the way, right now, a quarter of the country is on the eastern seaboard. They're like getting some serious winter, Fred.
Absolutely. Destin, Florida.
Yes.
Inch of snow on the weekend.
Did that really happen in Destin?
This past weekend?
This past weekend. Inch of Daphne, Alabama got snow.
I thought they were all talking about next weekend.
No.
This past weekend.
You're talking about, for those who don't know, you're talking about the towns on the Gulf Coast of America. Excuse me.
The Florida
Gulf
Panhandle.
of America is getting snow.
Yes.
So anyway.
And some coming our way in good old Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yeah, this weekend, that's why I wanted to warn people, there's where we are, there's Saturday, we're supposed to get 3 inches of snow and ice.
And this is the flagship station where all the rest of our stations in the network, all the programming comes out of here.
Yeah. So I just saying to thee that, you may never hear from us again. After Saturday, the land of Tupelo may disappear.
And a flurry of whiteness.
I always joke with people that if we were to get 5 inches, they're calling out the National Guard. And don't you think so?
This place shuts down with about an inch. In fact, during our devotions this morning, I think you were talking about the fact that we might get 3 inches of snow on Saturday, and one of the ladies who works here said, "So can we get off early on Friday?"
Right, I know.
and I said, "Well, yeah, because we have to go buy milk and bread, that's what everyone goes to get."
Yeah, milk and bread. If you don't have milk and bread when an ice/snowstorm hits, that's so irresponsible.
Oh yeah,
you put yourself and your family at risk.
Right.
Of not having cereal, for example.
Yeah.
Sandwiches.
Because you don't need power for that to happen.
No.
And you can still eat, but if you don't have that milk and bread,
you go to the grocery store. I guarantee you, between now and Saturday, you're gonna be wiped clean.
Gone.
Eggs, gone.
Yeah.
Milk, gone. Bread, gone.
That's right.
Huh? I don't know.
And at that point, now you're looking at your dog. Well, how big is he? How many can we feed?
We didn't need that, Ed.
Do you want to go there, Ed?
We didn't need that.
Let me tell you about what happened to this rabbit one time. No, I'm just kidding.
We have that one in the archives.
Everyone remembers that one.
All right. Again, thanks for listening to AFR. Tim, Ed, and Fred. We got a lot to talk about that's going on in the news, obviously. In our country, and then a lot going on around the world. We're going to get to some of those topics as well and try to educate you on what is happening and put it in some kind of common sense or practical sense prism. I don't know if we can do that or not, given the world stage as it is today.
Yeah.
But all right, Fred, what's leading the news here?
Well, I tried to imagine myself what would have happened, most of us in church perhaps yesterday morning and worshiping the Lord. Well, there was a church in St. Paul, Minnesota, City's Church. It's a Southern Baptist church, I'm told. They were having their service yesterday morning, and we know what's been happening, mostly in Minneapolis. The anti-ICE protests been very violent. Well, you can imagine the feeling of sitting in your church there in St. Paul yesterday morning, and you all of a sudden, these protesters storm into your church. Have a listen, cut number 1.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good!
Well, the group of protesters broke into the church. They're hollering there the name of the woman who was shot and killed last week.
During the service, right?
During the service. They were hollering there during the service, hands up, don't shoot. That goes back to the George Floyd protests. And the reason they picked on this church, we are told, is that one of the pastors at this church also works for ICE. So that's why they chose this church. Now, one of the protesters who stormed in there confronted one of the church members. Let's have a listen to that conversation. Cut number 2.
Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on you. Do something. Stand with the Somalis. Stand with the Latinos. Quit ignoring this injustice. He wears a suit and tie, and he hangs out with Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest against this inhumanity? You claim to be a Christian. Act like one.
So all of this is happening, folks, in the middle of a worship service yesterday morning at this Baptist church in St. Paul.
Well, that kind of thing is infuriating. And let me tell you, if anybody wonders if this country turns very violent, from which direction it's going to come from the left. With all the talk under the 4 years of the Biden administration that Christian nationalists, that those are Christians, for the most part, Christians who love their country, that parents at school board meetings, white supremacists, that those were the most dangerous groups in America. They were a threat to democracy. They were a threat to our republic. If anybody is wondering who's telling the truth here, it wasn't Joe Biden, and it's not the left. Violence and disruption and lawlessness is all coming from the left. And my opinion is because, number one, the left drifted away from God starting probably in the 1980s, but that since 2000 has accelerated. They moved away from God and have embraced a secular, materialistic, but especially socialist, Marxist, communist worldview. And Marxism breeds violence because it is all about chaos in order to overthrow our republic.
What would you do if they came in your church? What would your church do?
Well, with those kind of numbers, I think we would get the people back, our people back, make sure they're safe, call the police, and I don't know, maybe sing hymns. But here's the problem. And I know there's a lot of people listening right now, and I read comments under this story. I don't know if you sent this around, Tim, but I did read this and saw and looked at the comments, and there were people saying, well, where are the men in this church? These protesters are not doing anything violent. So if Christians respond by beating these people up, and removing them by force, that's going to reflect poorly on, I think, the name of Jesus. And that's frustrating for people.
Why is Jesus to blame?
Well, because the Bible says turn the other cheek. And this is an attack on your faith. And that's I don't think you can respond with violence to a nonviolent protest. You're escalating. You're escalating the situation. They've disrupted the service. You're not going to be able to carry on. I would make sure that women and children were safe. I would put them, bring them up to the altar or whatever, have the men stand in front of them. You call the cops, wait for the police to arrive, and then you prosecute to the fullest extent of the law.
That's if the police arrive. The police are under the order of the mayor. Well, this is St. Paul, not Minneapolis, so I don't know, maybe different. Anyway, I'm not trying to box you in here on this one. I'm just trying this is a very tense situation.
Yeah.
I agree with you. If they're not being violent, you don't act in violence. You hope to de-escalate the situation. That way nobody's put in harm. So I guess they eventually left. Fred, do you know the end of the story? I guess there was nobody hurt. Okay?
Nobody hurt.
Yeah.
But the star reporter, Don Lemon, remember him from CNN days?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He was there. Gee, he must have got a tip from the protesters. He showed up, he called himself an observer. But he was interviewing the pastor of the church. That's how this went. Cut number 3.
This is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual.
So right now it's kind of mayhem. We're not part of the activists, but we're here just reporting on them. Did they explain to you why they're here?
They did not.
They said that there is someone here in Easterwood, who is a member of ICE, and he's a pastor of the church.
Our church had gathered for worship, which we do every Sunday. We asked them to leave, and they obviously have not left.
So this is what the First Amendment is about the freedom to protest.
No, he's wrong. Don Lemon, I'm sorry, is an idiot. Okay, that is not what the First Amendment is about. The First Amendment is the government cannot restrict your freedom of speech in public places. This is private property. That's like saying the First Amendment protects someone from breaking into my house and shouting. Okay,
there's a reason why Don Lemon lost his job.
Yes.
At CNN.
Yeah, and let me tell you something else too. This is why members of ICE wear masks. Okay,
right.
So somebody in this group found out who one of the pastoral staff is connected with ICE.
Right.
They found out who and where they went to church, and then they showed up. And this is why members of ICE wear masks, to try to protect their identity and protect their wives and children, their families. There's some women with ICE too, protecting their families. No, First Amendment has nothing to do with it. This is what the left does. They want to terrorize and they want to disrupt because chaos is their modus operandi.
Our Department of Justice says those people are going to be charged under the FACE Act. Let me just explain. The FACE Act, FACE standing for Freedom of Access to Clinical Entrances Act of 1994. Now, you may say, well, that's referring to protesters outside of abortion clinics. But listen to this. It's a U.S. federal law making it illegal to use force, threats, or physical obstruction to prevent people from obtaining or providing reproductive health services or exercising religious freedom at places of worship.
Good.
So the federal law does include what these protesters did yesterday. Alina Habba is with our Department of Justice. This is what she has to say. Cut number 5.
That's everybody. The FACE Act is a longstanding federal statute that prohibits force, threats, obstruction, any kind of interference with a religious place of worship. And it carries criminal penalties and violations. And what the Attorney General is saying is the truth. She will come down hard. The Department of Justice will come down hard. Our Civil Rights Division will come down hard on anybody who tries to impede or intimidate somebody in a place of worship, or a police officer or an ICE officer. It's just not going to happen in this administration, and Pam is making that very clear.
All right. By the way, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, and Fred, we've been discussing what happened over the weekend in Minneapolis, St. Paul. This church was in St. Paul. It's a Baptist church. All these protesters, I don't know how many of them were there. A dozen?
It wasn't a large number.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me also add, to when you asked, I want to make something clear to our listeners. I wasn't saying that church members should not protect their family. That's why I said you get your family members to the front of the church or something like that, away from the protesters, and then if they attack family members, then you defend them. I left that out, but I was just talking about the protest.
You just said turn
itself.
the other cheek.
Well, I would turn the other cheek if they came up in this context, but I'm not going to turn the other cheek if they go after like my wife or my children or grandchildren.
Right. You let them beat you?
I would try to cover up, protect myself. If this is the way I view turn the other cheek, if you are suffering for the name of Christ, then we are obligated to not offer a violent response. But that doesn't change the fact that I protect my family. That's also, I think, a biblical duty.
All right. Listen, we have a situation. I don't know. This situation in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area is very volatile. It's fluid. And you have a situation where I don't know how much strategy there is here on the part of the lefties, if they're sitting around going, hey, let's do this, let's do that, or if this is just, then they are organized. They are organized like this, barging into this church. That was organized, okay? Blocking the ICE officers from using their vehicles. That's organized for the most part. These people have their own mechanisms of, communicating with each other. How large a size they are, I don't know. But it doesn't take a lot to cause problems and real problems. But here's the Here's the overarching problem, as I see it. You have, all right. Again, I don't want to relive the whole thing, but the reason this is a issue now is because Joe Biden, while president, let 10 to 15 million estimates, maybe more, people pour into our country illegally. He just opened the floodgates. We all know this because that's one of the reasons the Democrats lost the presidency. Biden just did away with our border. And so a lot of people poured into our country. So when Trump was elected, he said, I'm going to initiate the largest deportation effort in our history. In response to Biden let everybody in, Trump's going to try to use ICE to get everybody out who shouldn't be here, who are here illegally, namely criminals, right? People here illegally who have committed crimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Human trafficking, we know how bad that is. Drugs, gang activity, all those things. So now that ICE is going into cities and trying to arrest people who are here in the categories I just mentioned, the left doesn't believe they never believed in borders anyway.
Right.
So they believe ICE doesn't need to exist because they don't believe in deporting anybody or arresting anybody. So that being the case, you have two different worldviews that are you have law and order on one hand, and you have another worldview represented by these people who crashed into this church that ICE is immoral. You shouldn't be trying to deport or arrest anybody. So that's the clash. But as I've said here before on numerous occasions too, when you put a video, a cell phone or a video camera or whatever, on the work of police or in this case, ICE, and they have to use brute force to accomplish something, it never looks good, okay? It never looks good. I mean, to most people, they go, can't you just ask them to move?
Yeah.
You know, can't we just say pretty please?
Yeah.
And no, these guys, these ICE agents are trained, and they're really kind of hardened to this, and they're defensive too now.
Yeah.
Because why? Because they don't know what's around the next corner, and they also know that the local police are going to help them at all.
Right.
So,
under orders from the mayor.
Yes. So the mayor of Minneapolis says don't cooperate with ICE. So ICE is operating on their own. So when they're confronted with these crazies, these lefties, some of them are violent, then they can't. For example, when this, what was her name? Good?
Yeah, Renee Good.
Okay, her car was out in the middle of the road blocking the ICE agents. She wanted to make a statement. Okay, she was participating in blocking the ICE from doing their job. Well, ICE, in normal conditions, might call the Minneapolis Police Department and say, "Hey, can you come out here and help us get this lady off the road?"
Yeah.
She's blocking, and she's using her vehicle to block traffic. You could have an ambulance coming by. You could have somebody trying to give birth to a baby, trying to get to a hospital. There could be a number of reasons public safety would be at risk when you have somebody using their car to block the road for everybody else, okay? But she was intended to block ICE. But when the ICE calls Minneapolis Police Department and they say you're on your own, you see the danger that puts everybody in, and the risky situation that puts everybody in, and that unfortunately led to this young lady's death. I hate that she died, but she put herself in a really bad way. Well, that situation is now starting to happen on a daily basis.
Yes.
Especially in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that area. That's a hot spot now for clashes between ICE, who are, again, they're on their own. They're told to do a job, enforce federal law, and they're told, well, no, we're not, Minneapolis, St. Paul, we're not going to help you at all. Go ahead.
Remember, the mission that ICE has in Minneapolis is the same as the mission they had in New Orleans. We didn't have problems in New Orleans. The governor said, yes, come in and do the job that we want you to do. In Memphis, we didn't have these problems that were
They got in and they left, right?
Yes. And that is why the mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Fry, and also the governor of the state, Tim Walz, basically, most people feel they're okay. They're encouraging these protests.
Yeah, they are.
They're encouraging this violence.
Yeah.
I think they absolutely are.
Yeah, and again, they don't believe the people on the left do not believe it's hard to kind of comprehend, but they don't believe in borders, okay? So they don't believe in border control. So they don't believe in deportation. I mean, they don't care that I saw an ICE officer being videotaped by a cell phone. A woman was in, I think it was a woman, was in a car. The ICE officer pulls up in his vehicle and says, "We're here trying to arrest." Did y'all see this? Huh? Did you see it, Brent? The ICE officer says, "We're here trying to arrest a child sex offender, and you're blocking us from doing so." That's who you're defending. That's what he was saying. And we can't do our work. But you're defending the child predator because we're here to arrest that person. Anyway, it was just you're going like what. Anyway,
I think the Trump administration is going to have to, if they don't want to get driven out of Minneapolis, they're going to have to send federal troops with ICE. In other words, to protect the streets, and protect these ICE officers while they're going to get the person they need to get, and keep protesters and stuff back.
But I wonder how this plays out with just the general public. Not people who are conservative, not people who are liberal, but just the general public. I've seen polling that suggests that ICE is not viewed in a favorable way. It's 50-50. Maybe that's like the country. You know what I'm saying politically. But you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And you're right. The left wants the ICE agents, they want to dox them.
Yes.
So
I absolutely
that's why they
believe
went
that.
to this church. They want to dox them. We'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on American Family Radio. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
For life is more than food and the body more than clothing. The words of Jesus. Somewhere I ran across the story of a man who visited a certain home. The home wasn't much to look at, kind of run down, lacking even a good coat of paint. Outside the home in the yard, a little boy and his sister were playing. They were laughing, running, having a good time. The man surveyed the situation, summed up that the family wasn't very well off. He asked the small boy some questions about the home and family. The little boy told him that his father had not been able to work lately because of illness and that his mother had to care for the father. When asked about his patched clothes and his bare feet, the youngster explained that he had not had any new clothes since his daddy got sick. After a long period of conversation, the visiting gentleman found out that the little boy and his sister had not been to a movie or to get a cone of ice cream or any of the normal accepted childhood pleasures for several months. Wanting to say something to help the boy and his little sister face the difficult situation, the man spoke, and this is what he said. "It must be awful to be poor." Well, quick as a flash, the youngster answered back, "Mister, we ain't poor. We just ain't got no money." Now, how true, how eternally true. He was happy. He loved his sister. His parents loved him. He knew why his family was in the shape it was in financially, and he didn't complain. Money could not have bought what he had. How very shallow our judgments go sometimes. How very misplaced our values of riches. We think the only rich people are the people who have money. How miserable life would be if we had to face it on that basis. Being poor if we had no money. We've made a terrible mistake here, and we have passed it on to our children. That mistake is thinking that a person has to have a bankroll in order to be rich. What a poor, pitiful basis from which to judge richness. No man is poor who has character and purpose, whose life has been touched by the Galilean carpenter, who has love of God and love of fellow man. Every man is poor who lacks those things regardless of his bank account. Whoever uplifts civilization, though he die penniless, is rich, and future generations will erect a living monument to him in deeds. A great bank account can never make a man rich, and often hides real richness from him. A man is rich or poor according to what he is, not according to what he has. We are important because we're God's children, not because of position or power or money. No man is rich who has a poor heart. One of the first great lessons of life is to learn the true estimate of values. How poor are those whose major goal is a growing bank account. A rich mind and a noble spirit will cast over the humblest person a radiance of beauty which most millionaires will never know. So don't pity the person who's lacking money. Pity only the person who is lacking in character and purpose, who rejects the Galilean and has no love for his fellow man. For they are the poor ones, but those who are the opposite are rich far beyond the expression and means of mortal money.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. Jeremiah 29:13.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. You're listening to AFR. David and Tammy from Paris, Tennessee dropped by to see us and say hello, tour the studios and our facilities here. And if you want to do that, we welcome folks. to come by. Now, you need to bring something, like some kind of a housewarming gift or something.
Or something to eat,
Something. Well, that would be,
It's like you go to anybody's house. You bring something.
You bring something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So if you come here to visit us,
we're just kidding.
Please bring something.
Well, we are kidding, but if you want to bring
we're
something,
not going to turn it down.
We won't
We
turn
have
it
our
down.
own popcorn, so that's taken care of.
Yes.
And our own coffee. But other than that, you can bring something. But anyway, I just we do like having folks who listen to us if they want to stop by and see our studios and say hello during the weekday.
It's a very easy thing to do, folks. You go to afa.net, and right at the top there is a banner with drop-down menus. You go to the far right.
Oh, we got the drop-down menus.
They're dropping left
They're
and right.
dropping down and their menus.
And you go to more, and all the way at the bottom of that little drop-down, it says visits. You click on that. You do have to fill something out, so we make sure you're not running from the law or something like that. And but anyway, it's a very easy process. You'll get some advisement in terms of when to come. Friday afternoons, it's pretty scarce around here in terms of meeting your favorite, maybe favorite show host or whatever. But anyway.
There you go.
AFA.net.
All right. Well, before we get back to the news of the day, we wanted to acknowledge that today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, right, Fred?
That is correct. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Just reading this morning, his birthday was last Thursday. If he was still alive, he'd be 97 years old.
Wow.
Last Thursday. And he was tragically assassinated, as most people are aware, back in 1968. He was in Memphis and was shot and killed there. He was a man who advocated. He believed in civil disobedience, but in a peaceful way. He stressed that over and over again. Alveda King is the niece of Martin Luther King, and she was interviewed this morning about what she's seeing in the country today, and she wanted to contrast what she's seeing today in this country with what her uncle believed in. Cut number 9.
During his lifetime, one of my uncle's favorite scriptures was Acts 17:26, of one blood, God made everyone. So I believe he would want us to know that we're just one human race and that we should be kind rather than all of the anarchy and violence. He said we must learn to live together as brothers, and I add as sisters, and not perish together as fools. And so the fear, the anger, he had many quotes about faith, taking that first step without even being certain of the staircase. So if we can encourage people to not hate, he said that only love can drive out hate. Only faith can drive out fear. All of those quotes are just flooding back in my memory. And I believe if he were here, he would say, try to be kinder. All of the violence, fear not. And if you're afraid and if you're angry, begin to seek an opportunity to communicate without violence.
Yeah, that was
Alveda King.
Alveda King, good friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, today is Dr. Martin Luther King Day, and it's a federal holiday.
Yes.
And
Right.
a lot of
schools are closed,
schools,
banks are closed. Yeah.
A lot of businesses are closed today in recognition of MLK Day. You also wanted to mention something?
Yeah, I also wanted to mention this week is our preborn AFR campaign 2026. What is preborn, the ministry, you might ask? Well, it is the direct competition to the abortion industry. It is the largest provider of free ultrasounds in the United States. And by letting a woman see her baby on an ultrasound and hear the heartbeat, a baby's chance at life is doubled. This technology really impacts a lot of women. So AFR partners with preborn every year, and over the past 20 years, preborn partner clinics have counseled hundreds of thousands of women considering abortion. More than 400,000 babies' lives have been saved. And at the same time, more than 100,000 women have surrendered their lives to Christ. So why is AFR partnering with preborn? Well, here it is what we're asking. We're asking you to give, and your gift of $28 provides one woman seeking an abortion a free ultrasound. That gives the mom the opportunity to choose life for her baby. So $140 provides 5 free ultrasound sessions, reaching 5 women with the message of life, so on and so forth. The goal of this campaign, again, this campaign between Preborn and American Family Radio, is to help save 5,000 babies. So please consider a gift of any size. It all makes a difference. Here's how you give. You call this number, 877-616-2396. That number is 877-616-2396. Or you can go directly to afr.net. That's afr.net for more information and on the campaign and how you can give.
So the national championship is tonight in college football.
That is true.
Indiana Hoosiers versus the Miami Hurricanes. Who you like, Ed?
Rooting for Indiana, and I think Indiana's going to win. I think they may very well win handily.
I think 98% of America's rooting for Indiana. I think maybe 2% for the Miami Hurricanes.
This is the first chance for that school for a national championship.
Yeah.
Miami has won before.
Yeah, Indiana Hoosiers football being in the national championship game is in the book of Revelation. You have to read,
As one of those things that you just didn't expect.
You don't know. It's never happened before, and it may never happen again, but it's happening now.
Right.
So we will see tonight, Indiana. What a story. One interesting note here, ironic, I guess you could say, I don't know what other words to describe it, for those who don't follow the sport very much, but they may be watching tonight. The quarterback for Indiana, Fernando
Mendoza,
won the Heisman Trophy, the biggest award in all of college football. He hails from Miami, Florida. His home, where he grew up, was like 15 minutes or something like that from the campus of the University of Miami, the team they're playing tonight for the national championship. Well, the University of Miami did not offer him a scholarship to play for them. That says something about their scouting, I guess. Huh? So here a guy is going around the world. He went out to California to play football, and then he ended up in Indiana, and now he's going back to play in his hometown against the school that didn't recruit him.
Yeah, because the game's at the Orange Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really like 1 in a million chance of that happening, right?
Yeah.
But yet here we are. And the gentleman who's the coach of the Miami team and Fernando Mendoza went to the same high school.
I did not know that.
Yeah, not together. Obviously, there's 20 years difference or more between the two of them. But Cristobal, I think is his name, coach for the Miami Hurricanes. He went to the same high school that Fernando Mendoza went to. It's a really fascinating story, but anyway, we'll see what happens tonight.
Well, also something that's not many people know this is the offensive coordinator for Indiana was abducted by aliens. A lot of people didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, Ed, you dig these stuff up.
Yeah.
You dig this stuff up that nobody knows, but it makes it more interesting to watch. So I'll be looking at I'll be watching him tonight and looking for that backstory.
That's right. Sometimes they shine bright lights and he goes into he covers up and
we'll see what happens. That's tonight.
Just
that's
kidding,
tonight
folks.
in Miami. It's not frozen in Miami.
No.
But it is in North Florida, I guess it is. All right, Fred, what's your next story?
Next story, let's go to the world of President Donald Trump.
All right, let's get in that mind.
Yes. He is headed for Davos, Switzerland, where tomorrow the World Economic Forum opens up. There is some question as to whether his friends in NATO will put out the welcome mat, because he's now at war with his friends in NATO. What's the subject of this war? Well, it's Greenland. Donald Trump has said he wants the United States to own Greenland.
And we're getting it.
We're going to get it.
Whether Greenland likes it or not.
Okay. Well,
that is true. What you just said.
Yeah.
Yes, but these NATO countries have sent some troops into Greenland to protect Greenland from President Donald Trump. In response to their actions, President Trump has announced he's going to impose a 10% tariff on these NATO nations. Now, the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is warning President Trump to stop going after Greenland, especially using tariffs in this war. Cut number 11.
Any decision about the future status of Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone. The use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong, nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure.
Now, many people agree with President Trump that Greenland is strategic when it comes to security, because there is concern that Russia and China want very much to have safe passage through that area. That's of danger to our northern border. So
what? Sorry, Fred. Our northern border?
Well, I should say through that northern part of the hemisphere where you can have enemies coming down just south of Greenland.
Yeah, the ice is melting up there.
Yes. President Trump wants to protect the United States from possible entrance of China and Russia coming through that area. All right? So
to attack us.
To attack us. That's the upfront reason for all of this.
Okay.
Alexander Gray, the American Foreign Policy Council of the American Foreign Policy Council, believes the president has a point. Cut number 12.
I think our European friends really need to step back from this performative domestic politics that they're engaged in and realize that this is about a core interest of the United States. Greenland's a part of the Western Hemisphere. It's been under threat by Chinese and Russian aggressive activity over the last, as the president said, several decades. Our friends in Denmark haven't done anything about it. And the president was actually on the path last week with this meeting that Vice President Vance chaired to have a really successful path forward where we were talking directly to our Greenlandic friends and our Danish allies about a path forward for the United States to have more ultimate control over Greenland. And then the Europeans decided to showboat, send in this absurd contingent of troops to act like they were going to stop some sort of crazy American invasion.
It's not a crazy American invasion. President Trump has said he may use troops. Am I right about that?
No, you're right. You're right.
Yep.
Okay, here. Listen, we can talk about this. What that gentleman was saying, there's a lot of truth in there. Who is he?
He is Alexander Gray. Is with the American Foreign Policy Council.
Okay, so here's the asset and the detriment, if that's the right word, that Trump has with respect to his words. When he says things like, we will send troops to Greenland to take it over, and that's what he said in essence, if we have to, then people will say, well, that's crazy talk, okay? And he doesn't really mean it. So I think what that gentleman you just heard right there is he's basically saying that what Trump said about that is crazy talk, if you believe it, even though he's defending Trump's position. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So with President Trump, and sometimes this works to his advantage, you don't know when he's serious or not. And you don't know, it's very volatile, because tomorrow he may completely change his mind 180 degrees and say something different. He does that all the time. So it's kind of like whiplash. So you don't really know. Maybe he does that on purpose. I don't know. Or maybe he had good eggs one day and bad eggs the next. I'm not sure exactly in terms of why he says the things that he does. And I'm generally supportive of President Trump. I think we all are here. I think he's done I understood Venezuela. That was clear what was going on there. When you're talking about taking over Greenland by force, I can't go for that. But maybe you guys can. And I don't know that I can articulate why, except that it's always been a sovereign country. Now it's a vast island, but it's of only about 60,000 people in this. Basically, it's a fishing village. I mean, Denmark has been the country that's, I guess, over it, so to speak. But just to, what's the difference morally between just exerting our power to take over Greenland and what some other foreign country might do to take over?
Well, China take over Taiwan.
What about Russia taking over Ukraine?
Right.
I mean, it's not going to get into a bloody battle like that, but you see what I'm saying? So what do you guys...
No, I don't think we should use troops to take Greenland. And my fear is that if the Trump administration was planning to enter into negotiations to talk to Greenland and Denmark and say, look, here's what we think is a possible threat. We need to have more bases. We need to have more intercept missiles that can intercept nuclear, the ICBMs that might be coming over the Arctic. Help us out. We'll pay. But when you say, as President Trump did, when he was told that, and I don't remember the man's name or the position, but he's the head of Greenland, premier or president or whatever, that he doesn't want to make a deal with the United States. President Trump said, well, that's his problem. We're going to do it. And we're going to do it, we can do it the easy way or the hard way, basically. I don't think that this is the way. First of all, Denmark is an ally. Greenland, I think, would therefore fall under NATO, an alliance to which the United States really was the group, the country that began NATO, bringing these countries together so they could be a counterweight to the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact. But you can put yourself... Why would you put yourself in a position where NATO might declare war on you? Now, I'm not saying NATO could, but these are allies. I'm not sure exactly why you would, if this is a negotiating tactic on the part of the president, I don't know why you would do it this way. And let me now, this stuff is real in terms of the importance of Greenland. As the Arctic ice continues to melt, the Russians, for example, the only way they can get their fleet out to the broader Atlantic Ocean is to go through these little straits between Denmark and Sweden. Denmark's very good. Sweden's very good. Norway's all very good with anti-submarine technology, okay? Or the Soviets. The Russians can go through the Dardanelles Strait, the Bosphorus, between Europe and Turkey. So if that ice melts, the Russian Navy would have broader access to the Atlantic. Okay, so there are real things. There are minerals in Greenland. There are some real security issues there, but I don't think that the United States, I don't think President Trump has the right legally, constitutionally, to basically declare war on Greenland without congressional approval. It's certainly not require money being spent on it.
So President Trump and Norway, Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store, I think is the gentleman's name. Anyway, they have, this is in the news, they were in discussions about the situation because Norway is in the region, right?
Right.
And this is what President Trump, so the Norwegian Prime Minister is basically complaining to Trump, don't escalate this, stop this. So this is what President Trump wrote to the gentleman, the Prime Minister of Norway. And I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to be comical here.
Right.
I'm not going to come back and say, just fooled you.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I can do that. I've done
Sometimes.
that. I've done that before.
We kind of do the Babylon Bee thing.
We do. Okay, dear Jonas, this is probably in the last 48 hours. Dear Jonas, that's the gentleman who's the Norwegian Prime Minister. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8+ wars, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect the land from Russia or China, and why do we have to have a, quote, right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only a boat that landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. So
that's first I've heard of it. I don't know what to say to that. Okay, first.
Well, he's mad because he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. Look,
he stopped 8 wars.
Russia and China are not going to attack Greenland for the very reasons we're talking about. It is under the control of a member of NATO. They would know that to attack Greenland is to declare war on NATO. Okay? Now, they may try to influence Greenland in other ways, okay? But that's Greenland's right. Greenland is sovereign, okay? So this is no different. I'm not saying the United States is like communist China, but it's no different than, I'm going to give Fred a chance because I'm sucking up all the oxygen.
All right, we're paying Fred to do nothing.
Yes. So if China invades Taiwan, we cannot make that a moral issue if we've taken Greenland by force. Fred, go ahead.
I think, and maybe it's more hope than think, that there will be an agreement between President Trump and these NATO nations. He's going to be meeting with them in Davos this week. I think they will come to some kind of security agreement on Greenland. Now, if he keeps insisting that the United States is just going to go in and take Greenland, that's not going to work out.
He says the United States, need to have complete and total control of Greenland.
Not going to happen.
Well,
now he is right that the United States. He's not right that he's done more for NATO than anyone else.
What about ending 8 wars?
Founding? I don't even know what he may be referring to. Conflicts in the Middle East. I don't know, but he is right that NATO should be very cooperative with the United States because we've funded most of NATO. Right. We have pre-positioned assets and troops and bases that have long shielded Europe from having to protect itself.
Duly noted.
And so he is right about that. But to me, those are the negotiations that should go on behind the scenes. You don't try to humiliate sovereign countries into doing what you want if you are negotiating. Now, Trump's a far better negotiator than I am. I freely admit that. But like Fred said, this is not going to happen. You're going to rupture the alliance, the NATO alliance. You could end NATO.
Well, he's slapping tariffs on these countries, too.
Yep.
We've talked about slapping tariffs, haven't we, Ed?
Oh,
yeah.
Slapping away. Slap. Tariff.
Which I think is a complete and total misuse of tariffs.
I think that's primarily unconstitutional. And if anyone, listen, I'm sure some people are getting mad. You think I'm just criticizing President Trump. The Constitution is the law, the supreme law of the land, and it gives Congress the right to, if anybody's going to slap tariffs, it's supposed to be Congress. Now, the president said he had the right under emergency powers because of fentanyl. I don't believe that anymore.
Is Greenland shipping fentanyl over?
No.
Here?
So we've got to protect the rule of law, and even conservatives need to encourage the president to do what the Constitution says he can do. And I'm with you. I like 95% of what President Trump has done.
Right.
I am a Trump fan.
He's going to lose people on this one,
but But this is a loser. You can't have the image of U.S. troops invading Greenland.
Right.
He's going to lose support.
All right, we'll be back momentarily. Fred, we thank you immensely for your contributions to this show and the 17 words that you expressed this hour.
We allowed him to express.
All right, we'll be back momentarily. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
They will thrust a cell phone in your face. If you ask a question, they'll surround you with cameras. They'll scream at you. They'll try to get you to commit violence. I believe God is giving us a little bit of a glimpse into what life without Him would be like.
A Disciple's View with Todd Herman. Critical information from a faith-enriching perspective. Weekdays at noon Central on AFR. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Steve Pugh. It is a violation of federal law to disrupt a worship service. But that's what anarchists in Minneapolis did yesterday. Matt Finn is outside that church with the latest.
Well, so this is the church. Protesters walked into unannounced mid-service, started screaming anti-ICE chants, getting into churchgoers' faces, all because they say an associate pastor works for ICE. Protesters shouted ICE out in the name of Jesus and chanted the name of Renee Good, the woman DHS says an ICE agent shot in self-defense earlier this month. Don Lemon, a former news anchor, says he followed the protesters into the church. An organizer told Lemon that it was a clandestine operation meant to disrupt a key location. Another video shows a protester confronting churchgoers.
Minnesota journalist Scott Johnson says the ringleader of that church attack is well versed in causing problems.
One thing that's different about this particular riot is that it's inside a church. That by itself, what they're doing is illegal, what's depicted in the video. And you can see who's doing it. One of the principal organizers of this riot self-identified on Facebook. Her name is Nakima Levy-Armstrong. She's an attorney, and she claims credit. She's proud of what she refers to as our demonstration. And she refers to other organizers. She identifies other organizers, Black Lives Matter Minnesota and Black Lives Twin Cities. And all of this together kind of takes you back to the summer of George Floyd in 2020, when rioters did about $500 million worth of property damage around the Twin Cities.
And some Democrats are calling for ICE to be defunded or abolished. Chad Pergram explains from Capitol Hill.
The question is just how far Democrats want to go. The fight over ICE could impede Congress from passing the Homeland Security spending bill. Some Democrats, including Ayanna Pressley, want to abolish ICE.
ICE cannot be reformed. This is about a systemic culture that has been existing for many, many years. It has just in this moment been emboldened and is on steroids because of who currently occupies the Oval Office.
Funding DHS was a challenge long before Minneapolis became a tinderbox. The shooting of Renee Nicole Good only fuels left-wing opposition to fund ICE.
A professor at Indiana University is now sanctioned for alleged discrimination against white students. Bronson Woodruff has more.
Marcus Kroom, an assistant professor in the School of Education, is facing an accusation by a former student named Michael Claycamp. Kroom is accused of repeatedly making negative statements about light-skinned people all through his course during the spring 2024 semester. This is highlighted in a report from the Herald Times. Soon after, Kroom was notified that the Office of Institutional Equity was opening an investigation into Claycamp's allegations, followed by an official sanction against Kroom. Micah Clark is the executive director of the American Family Association of Indiana.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that Indiana University did this. I wonder if they would have done this a few years ago, but I appreciate they're doing the investigation and finding evidence that this professor mistreated white students. I think this is a result of efforts that the Attorney General in Indiana and the legislature has done to try and root out DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, from our schools and our universities that are state-funded.
Claycamp was reportedly notified that the university found a preponderance of evidence that Kroom had made a hostile educational environment for white students.
But the problem is you've got people who've been indoctrinated to think that America is this racist, institutionally racist country, and that gives them, I think, victimhood status and justifies their being able to think they can mistreat white people or who they see as a majority. And that's the danger of looking at America as being a victim if you're a citizen, rather than seeing all the opportunities and the progress that we have made.
I'm Bronson Woodruff.
U.S. markets are closed today, but U.S. stock futures have skidded after President Donald Trump threatened to slap a 10% extra tariff on imports from 8 European countries because they oppose having America take control of Greenland. Oil prices also slipped. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, the tours we've got planned in 2026 are going to be fantastic. They're historical, spiritual, heritage tours. For the information all about them, the D.C., the Williamsburg, the Boston tours, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we hope to see you on one of our 2026 spiritual heritage tours.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim with Ed, and now Steve Paisley-Jordahl joins us. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, everybody. I am wearing my Hawaiian shirt in hopes that I can, impose my will on the weather. It's not working.
Impose your will on the weather.
Man, that's
I'm wearing
some
a
confidence
Hawaiian
right
shirt,
there.
and it's below freezing. So.
I'm telling you, that is a lofty goal, my friend.
To impose your will on the weather?
By wearing a shirt.
No one ever accused me of under shooting too low.
All right, Brother Steve, I have information for you. I don't know if
I'm listening.
You can do anything about this, but
well, if I can impose my will on the weather,
there's a winter storm going to hit some of the country, at least, including our area, on Saturday.
I'm wearing shorts then.
Yeah, you do that. Take pictures, or it didn't happen.
Yeah. Is that the mind over matter? Is that what that is?
If you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
I keep saying I'm from Colorado, and it doesn't affect me much. But, man, at some point it does. It gets pretty cold.
Well, the wind has been bad. And there are people up in Wisconsin that are going, I don't want to hear what you guys have to say, you mamby-pambies. Talking about wind, it's 50 below zero here.
See that football game last night between the Rams and the Bears? They're playing like it was. Now, it wasn't the coldest game you've ever seen, but they were still in 18-degree temperature.
Yeah, snow on the ground.
Yeah, snow on the ground.
It's an incredible game.
Yeah, it was. It was. The Rams won it with the kicker.
Yeah, field goal. The big, thicker kicker?
That was the heftiest kicker I've ever seen.
They call him thicker kicker, I think.
He was a big boy.
Yep.
Well, when you texted me, that's not the word you used.
No, I wasn't fat shaming him. I was just saying that he likes the buffet. That's all I was saying.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that when you make the kind of money.
When you can kick,
it doesn't matter what you look like. I'm just saying
that was a pressure kick too.
I'm just saying he did not look like your typical field goal kicker. I've said here in football, it's just funny to me how grown men, 300-pound men, can slam around on each other for 2.5, 3 hours, and the whole thing comes down to 145 pounds.
Yes, kicker.
Yeah.
But not in this case. He probably weighed 200 pounds. Do you remember the Raiders used to have Sebastian Janikowski? He was another huge kicker.
He was a big boy.
Big boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. But usually they're slender and they're
right.
Kind of short usually.
That using that soccer style
kick. Nobody kicks straight ahead anymore, do they? At all? That's been gone for 20 years.
Yeah, maybe more than that.
I was watching something on the NFL channel, a kick throwback, and it showed one of those barefoot kickers. Remember when that was the rage?
I remember that.
Barefoot.
I was one of those.
Were you?
You were a barefoot kicker?
It must have been hard in the ice, man. That would have been
hard. I tried out for the Raiders and the couple of other teams. It didn't make it, but I was,
But almost.
All the sports careers that you have given up. It's really golf,
a lot of
baseball, basketball, and now football. I didn't know
a lot
this
of
about
them
you.
were shortened because of injury. And
you think that was it?
Yeah. Including the kicking. So anyway. All right, you're listening to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. It's kind of painful to go down that road, Ed, if you don't mind.
Okay, I'll leave you alone with your painful memories.
How did you bring it up in the first place, right, Ed?
Yeah. Well, I did.
I don't think you did. I think you did.
I played basketball in the Michael Jordan era.
So there. I played basketball in the Michael Jordan era.
There was nothing I said was untrue.
Between me and Tom Brady, we have 7 NFL championships.
Well,
6.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How he's looking at things.
That's exactly right.
All right. Well, again, thank you for listening to American Family Radio. Just real quickly, I know folks have heard about this if they listen to AFR, but we've got some wonderful tours lined up this year. And here they are. I'm about to give them to you. In June and September, we are going to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, including George Washington's Mount Vernon estate. It's a fabulous trip. So if you ever wanted to go see our nation's capital, why don't you join us? This year we'll take care of you. It'll be fun and fellowship with people throughout who come to Washington from around the country like yourself, Christians who love the country and love the Lord. So we're going to do that in June and September, and then we're also going to Colonial Williamsburg, Jamestown, historic Jamestown, the original Jamestown site of the settlement. That's where we're going, and we're going to Yorktown as well. Although the patriotic, that's called something else. The triangle there, the historic triangle, basically, in that part of Virginia, Williamsburg, right. Jamestown, Yorktown. So those tours are back to back. You can do one or the other, or if you want to stay with us from Saturday to Saturday, we'll take care of you the whole time, and you can see all of what I've just mentioned. So those tours are available, and people are signing up to go on them. Don't get caught and us be full. So you want to go ahead and get the information on that. And then in September, Walker and Wesley, my sons, are leading a tour with Stephen McDowell and Tim Barton of Wall Builders. And Ed Vitagliano.
I'm coming along.
Ed's going to go to his old stomping ground where he grew up, the Boston area.
You ever been to Boston before?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, Ed grew up there in Boston, and so
in New Hampshire.
Going to the Freedom Trail, going to Concord and Lexington.
And Fenway.
Going to, I don't know if they're going to Fenway or not.
I doubt they'll go to Fenway.
Red Sox will be playing, though, if you want to go to a game there.
Listen, I'd love that.
That's on my bucket list.
Also go to... They're going to go to Plymouth Rock. So a lot to see in the Boston area. That tour is on fire right now. People are signing up like crazy. So if you want information on any of those tours I've just mentioned, go to this website, wildmongroup.com. wildmon group.com. wildmongroup.com. All the information is there, the cost, the itinerary, Q&A, all you need to know there. So we encourage you to join us on those tours if you would like to go on a vacation with a purpose. All right, Steve, what's your first story?
I would like to introduce you to a lawmaker in Texas whose name is Representative James Tallarico. Tallarico, he's a Democrat, and he's a Texas state lawmaker. He is running for Jasmine Crockett's seat in the House, so he is and expected to give her a run for her money because she's kind of a firebrand.
He's running against her in a primary?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're being told. Okay. But he's being touted as a Christian Democrat. And I was listening to a little bit from, he was on Joe Rogan, and Joe said, I've never heard of a Christian who didn't want the 10 Commandments. What's the deal with not wanting to take 10 Commandments in the classroom? He says, well, I was in seminary and thinking going into the ministry, but I went into politics, and I believe in the separation of church and state. But he passes himself off as a Christian, and I keep hearing him quoted as a Christian. Well, this is the kind of Christian that he is. When he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, he made the case, I'm going to read this, that the Bible sanctions abortion. And this is what he quotes. He said in the book of Luke, Mary has a vision from God that she's going to give birth to a baby who will bring down the powerful from their thrones, which is exactly what it says. But critically, before she becomes pregnant, Tallarico says an angel asks Mary if this is something she wants to do, and she says, if it's God's will, let it be done. He says, to me, that's an affirmation of one of our most central stories, that creation cannot be done without consent. Therefore, God approves of abortion. He is so twisted. By the way, Luke does not say that. Mary was not asked. the angel comes to her and says, you will conceive, you will do this. And she does say, if it's God's will, let it be done. But it wasn't exactly what he's portraying it to be. I want to also play you a little bit from Talrico. I'm doing this because if you hear about a Democrat or a liberal who says they're Christians, you got to look. It doesn't take much digging to figure out that they're really not.
Let me also say this real quickly, because this fella you're talking about, James Talarico.
Yes, sir.
He is running in the Democrat primary against Jasmine Crockett.
Yes.
She is a House of Representatives member from the Dallas area. I'm not sure what he is, but so they're running to take on the Republican, either Cornyn or...
That's in the Senate. This is a House seat that she's going for.
No.
Is Cornyn not a senator? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong.
According to the information you get if you Google this, which is... who is to doubt that, Steve? Here's what it says. Jasmine Crockett is running in... What was your...
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Go ahead.
I get that a lot from my wife. So I'm used to what you just said.
You're used to Allison telling you you're right?
Yeah. I just told a whopper right there.
Yes, you did.
Just a big fat whopper. All right, so Jasmine Crockett is running in the Democrat primary for U.S. Senate in Texas against this gentleman you're talking about, James Talarico, who is ahead of her, according to these, substantially in the polling, to go against the winner of the Republican primary, which will be either Cornyn, the senator right now from Texas, a Republican, but he is going against help me out, Paxton, the Attorney General.
Attorney General, James Paxton? No.
Ken
Paxton.
So both Ken Paxton and Cornyn are having a Republican primary, and these two people here, Jasmine Crockett and James Talarico, on the Democrat side.
So Jasmine Crockett, you may remember, is the one that brings race into everything. Everything is racial. And compared to her, James Talarico does seem a little more moderate, but let me give you a little bit of his theology, because you're going to find it a little bit off-putting. Cut 18.
How do you think about the competing claims of different religions? Do you believe Christianity to be more true than other religions? Do you believe there to be exclusivity in these beliefs, that they're incompatible with each other?
I believe Christianity points to the truth. I also think other religions of love point to the same truth. I think of different religious traditions as different languages. So you and I could sit here and debate what to call this cup, and you could call it a cup in English, you'd call it something else in Spanish and French, but we are all talking about the same reality. I believe Jesus Christ reveals that reality to us, but I also think that other traditions reveal that reality in their own ways with their own symbol structures. And I've learned more about my tradition by learning more about Buddhism and Hinduism and Islam and Judaism. And so I see these beautiful faith traditions as circling the same truth about the universe, about the cosmos.
Yeah, what's wrong with that theology right there, Ed?
Well, let's ask one of the apostles.
Break it down.
This is 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. This man is a false prophet. He's a false teacher. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's probably an unbeliever. Okay, there's so much wrong with what he said. First of all, he's free to have his opinions, but that's all it was. When he says all religions are basically calling the same cup in a different language, all these religions that he named, they are all exclusive. They make exclusive claims about their religion. Okay, now what John goes on to say is, he says this. This is one of the most powerful verses in the New Testament, folks. Verse 6, 1 John 4, verse 6. He's talking about him and the other apostles, are from God. He who knows God listens to us. He who is not from God does not listen to us. By this we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. You want to know what's true? You listen to the apostles. The apostles of the Lamb. The Bible says The church is built on the prophets and the apostles. The apostles' names are on the gates of heaven, and they heard from Jesus. They passed that faith along. This man, Mr. Del Rico, is not passing on the truth of Scripture. So just because someone claims to be a Christian doesn't mean that he is. He is being moved by the spirit of Antichrist. That's what the Apostle John says, and that's good enough for me. The New Testament teaches, and Jesus himself said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. This man's a false teacher and a wolf in sheep's clothing.
I don't know if he would consider himself a teacher, though, because he's just a politician running for office.
But he's teaching. He is teaching and proclaiming publicly what he believes. I agree with what you're saying. He's
not
wouldn't
a pastor
claim he's
or
not
a seminary
pastor.
teacher or something like
Right.
that.
But he is teaching and proclaiming
what he says is not true.
Right.
And he's using that his faith in his campaign. He is open and often talks about what his beliefs are. For example, that he doesn't believe. Now, there are a whole bunch of different arguments about whether the Ten Commandments should be posted in a classroom or not. I'm not saying that that's an easy answer or that it's one way is right or the other. But this is one of the things he speaks to as a religious, as he claims to be a Christian. He says, I'm a Christian and I don't believe that this should happen.
Well, listen, we don't get our, I agree we should analyze what he's saying in terms of if he's going to make it an issue, his Christianity, when the Bible Christianity claims to be exclusive.
Right.
As Ed, you said, other religions claim to be exclusive in the truth too. So everything can't be true.
Right.
At one, you can't, and that's why a lot of these universalists like to have it where they don't address that issue that each of these religions claim to be the truth. Well, they can't all be true. One of them's right, and or none of them's right. I mean, you need to examine them all. But Jesus and Christianity is, there's no room for other gods.
Right.
God is a jealous God, and when we say that about God, it isn't jealousy like petty jealousy, isn't it? What is it? How do you define the jealousy of God?
So you brought up the subject, and you want me to explain it?
Well, because you're the Bible teacher.
Well,
I could answer it.
Yeah,
but I want you to.
Okay. Well, the jealousy of God, I think, properly understood, is could be likened to a husband's jealousy for his wife. That is not petty. When another man is talking and trying to whisper sweet nothings into her ear, the true, in a sense, the God-like jealousy is protective, knowing that this individual means to harm your wife and the sanctity of your marriage. And that, when the Bible talks about God and God saying, I am jealous, that's what he's saying. He is saying, I am protective of my people. I want to protect you, and I am not going to tolerate anything coming in between us that is going to destroy you. God being destroyed is not possible, but this will destroy you and bring harm to you, and I love you. Snake slithers into the backyard where your kids are playing. It is perfectly okay to identify that immediate feeling of protecting your children and wanting to destroy what could harm them as being what the Bible describes as God's jealousy for his people.
That's what I was going to say.
Amen.
Yeah, amen, brother. Ditto. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. That's the name of this show on the American Family Radio Network. I'm Tim with Ed and Steve's next story, Steve.
I know you guys spent quite a bit of time this morning talking about this raid, this protest at the church in Minneapolis. I want to tell you that my Twitter feed has been filled up with similar type things that haven't been publicized as much. I saw somebody berating people walking to church. It was a different church. And this man was using the most vile, every other word was a foulest word, and calling them Nazis and white supremacists, and how dare they worshiping. How can you worship with an American flag on your lapel? It was the most vile attack.
Where was this?
It was in Minneapolis, but a different church, and these people were walking with their kids, like families walking to church together. And one of the things he said, "Your dad is a racist, is a white supremacist." They were. Anyway, I'm seeing this. I'm also seeing Andy Knows reporting from Minneapolis. Far-left anti-ICE protesters beat a white man on the street after he was accused of being right-wing. The leftist extremists have been zealously hunting down federal agents and their supporters. So we are seeing, and I saw a whole bunch of pictures of anti-ICE protesters with guns. They are ratcheting up the protests, and it's getting dangerous. It's getting very dangerous out there. Something has changed over the weekend.
Well, we talked about this in the first hour, in the first segment, really. All the violence, the vast majority of the violence, I won't say all the violence, the vast majority of the violence is coming from the left. And it is because, in my opinion, it's because of two factors. The left long ago abandoned God, Mr. Del Rico, or whatever his name was. Tallarico, notwithstanding. But by and large, the left has abandoned God and will not allow the Christian faith, for example, to restrain their actions. And instead, they have moved to Marxism, which is all about chaos and violence. So I think we're going to continue to see this violence escalate. I am very nervous to hear that they're bringing guns to these things because someone's going to open fire, and ICE is going to respond in kind, and innocent people will die. But this is what Marxists do. They don't care if innocent people die. As the old saying goes, if you're going to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. These people are intent on revolution, and they don't mind taking violent steps to accomplish that.
Yeah, they were sitting, it was a bunch of pictures, I'll send some to you after the show, on cars, but assault rifles. They were openly carrying, daring someone to come and challenge them. So, yeah, in my opinion, just looking at my feed and looking at some of the stories, something changed over the weekend. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. We'll bring that in if you want.
Okay.
There is. Let's stop here. I know you guys talked a lot. You talked about the Trump Norway thing. I have something that Donald Trump is going to write an executive order on. It's a little less serious, but I still don't know how he's going to do it. The president said that he is going to issue an executive order that will secure an exclusive 4-hour broadcast window in December for the Army-Navy football game, where no other postseason games will be allowed in the time slot. So I guess he's installing himself as the commissioner of both the NFL and college football.
Now, what is his reason for doing this?
Because
for saying he's going to do this?
Army-Navy game is an important game. I guess he says it's...
You want to know?
Yes.
Because I know the answer to that question.
Okay, yes, I do want to know.
But it might just bore our listeners where
they're used to that.
Where they tune out. Okay, so the college football playoffs may expand to 16 teams, which means another Saturday. You follow me?
Yeah.
That Saturday would have to be, by necessity, the Saturday of the Army-Navy game, which is usually held the first Saturday after all the conference champion. Everything's done in college football. It's a dead period, a dead week. So that's what he's talking about. I think he's talking about protecting that Saturday during that time slot for the Army-Navy game, which is a great tradition in American life.
Right,
it is.
Army-Navy football game, which I don't disagree with him on that. I think this is just him speaking his wishes, because that he does. The president, and Trump did this time. He went to that game in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It is a special spectacle, so I don't blame him for doing what he just did right there. Although I don't think it holds any
authority?
real authority.
Well, like I've seen a meme that says it has a picture of the Army-Navy game at the line of scrimmage. Says these are men who are willing to give their lives for the people watching the game.
Yeah. Now, I do think that soon President Trump will announce that he's moving the Army and Navy game to Greenland.
Could be. And
So
calling it the Trump Army Navy game.
I do think that's on the horizon.
Naming it.
So watch
Yeah.
for that, okay?
I'm doing that.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Take care. Keep listening to AFR.